WWE superstar Liv Morgan is arrested last night after a traffic stop. We'll let you know all of the details on that. Plus, Mercedes Mone, the working plans that she did have with AEW may no longer be in play. We'll let you know about that. Plus, Kenny Omega, we now have confirmation on what he's been ruled out indefinitely for. That's diverticulitis. We'll let you know the latest update when it comes to the AEW EVP's health. Randy Orton last night challenges Roman Reigns to an undisputed Universal title match at the Royal Rumble. But also, we saw the return of AJ Styles last night, attacking Roman Reigns as well as LA Knight. Charlotte Flair has been ruled out for 9 months after suffering a knee injury last week on SmackDown. 2 more names advanced in the US title tournament last night on the Blue Brand show on Fox. Athena retains her Ring of Honor World Women's Championship at Final Battle. Mark Briscoe and FTR defeat the Blackpool Combat Club at the event as well. Kyle Fletcher is the brand new Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Tony Khan opens up at the Ring of Honor Media Scrum and opens up about the criticism that AEW has been facing recently, saying to be part of AEW is to be hated. Plus, WWE debuts the WWE Speed concept last night at SmackDown. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Liv Morgan, who found herself in the headlines late last night because former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Liv Morgan was arrested in Florida for drug possession after a traffic stop. According to PW Insider, the 29-year-old was arrested for possession of marijuana and possession of drugs, possibly that of a synthetic cannabinoid, on Thursday evening. The injured star was arrested after a Sumter County Sheriff's deputy saw the Jeep she was driving cross over the white and yellow lines of the road. Now, when the deputy approached Morgan's vehicle, they smelled marijuana, according to the arrest report. According to PW Insider, a small plastic bag of marijuana and a vape pen that held an oil-like substance that was later tested for marijuana were found in the vehicle. Morgan bonded out of jail and was released Thursday night around 10 p.m. WWE is yet to comment, to the outlet or release a statement regarding the matter. Now, Morgan has been out of action since suffering an injury on the July episode of Raw that saw WWE Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley attack her before their advertised match, an angle to write her off television. Now, Morgan had just returned to the ring from another previous shoulder injury before suffering another on her opposite side, suffering a couple of shoulder injuries. That's actually what happened to Liv Morgan. Once again, if we have any more information on this story or anything like that, we'll let you know moving forward. Of course, this is a developing story. Now, let's talk about Mercedes Mone in AEW, because plans for Mercedes Mone, formerly known as Sasha Banks in AEW, may not be coming to fruition as they were once reported. During a Q&A on Friday, Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp said that, quote, the once working plans for AEW and Mercedes are no longer working plans, end quote. Sapp also said that he hasn't heard about any talks between the former Banks and WWE, but has heard she's asking for a lot of money. Mone's first and so far last appearance in an AEW capacity came on the 0-hour pre-show and during the pay-per-view broadcast itself of All In back in August, when the injured star was seen sitting in the crowd and her name was shown an on-screen graphic. Mone has been battling an ankle injury that occurred shortly after her run with New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom began earlier this year. Mone lost a match against Willow Nightingale for the just-created New Japan Strong Women's Championship back in May, reportedly calling an in-ring audible for Nightingale to win the match. Prior to the injury, Mone had been rumoured to be appearing at the AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door pay-per-view, and as of August, there were reportedly talks between Mone and AEW following her pre-show appearance, with the star being, quote, open to working with the company. At the time, the source was, quote, optimistic about talks between the two sides for a formal relationship, and another source said it was, quote, in the works. There has been little in the way of concrete updates since then. Of course, Mone walked out of WWE alongside her then tag team championship partner Trinity, formerly known as Naomi in WWE, in May of 2022. The pair were then reportedly indefinitely suspended without pay before quietly being released. Mone is a 7-time WWE Women's Champion who also had Women's Tag Team Gold 3 times during her tenure with the company. So as of right now, it looks like those plans that were in place are no longer in place for Mone and AEW. And we've got a bit more of an update on Kenny Omega. We brought you the news last night that Kenny Omega had posted out that he was out of action indefinitely. He posted late Friday afternoon on X, formerly known as Twitter, to announce that he was out indefinitely. He said, quote, "I can't really sugarcoat this. I'm out indefinitely. I tried to keep pushing past the pain for as long as I could until it became too much. Luckily, doctors caught me when they did. I'll be here. So in the meantime, please enjoy wrestling." Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful tweeted out shortly after this that actually the nature of the illness, not actually an injury, an illness, because at the time Kenny Omega didn't provide any details as to why he was hospitalized. But Sean Ross Sapp posted on X the following, quote, "We're told Kenny had been ill throughout the last week, even ahead of his match with Ethan Page. He still did the match and the promos and sought medical attention after, where he was hospitalized and diagnosed with diverticulitis. Get well soon, Kenny." Now, obviously, we echo those thoughts, but it's now been revealed that, of course, Omega, the AEW Executive Vice President, is hospitalized with diverticulitis, and there is no timeline or timescale for his return to the ring. So hopefully Kenny can recover as soon as possible, and hopefully there isn't any serious complications. Now, let's switch gears and talk about SmackDown last night, because WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns returned to SmackDown last night in a celebratory mood, citing Christmas time and calling for a promotion for fellow Bloodline member Solo Sikoa. While enter Randy Orton, who made his way to the ring and halted said celebration, making his intentions of coming after Reigns and his championship at the Royal Rumble crystal clear. Of course, gunning for the Tribal Chief has its complications, and Orton was prepared for that, putting forth his willingness to go through anyone in the bloodline to get to the champion. That means Jimmy Uso, and that was the case in the main event. And Reigns, though, was not just ready to hand out a title opportunity to the Viper, who Reigns said has done nothing to deserve as much. Orton was complimentary of Reigns and his more than 1,000-day championship run, citing his impressive evolution and dubbing him a legend. But just as quickly, Orton reminded Reigns that he will always be a legend killer before launching into an RKO attempt that Reigns just barely avoided. Shaking off the miss, Orton didn't miss a step, continuing with his promo smoothly enough to note that Reigns should keep him on top of his mind as the voices in his head tell him to be scared. Now, despite the challenge, a match between the two at the Royal Rumble or otherwise was not immediately made official. Once indeed it is, we'll let you know. But when it comes to Orton, quite an interesting tidbit about his return is that at one point there possibly could have been plans for a new theme song. Randy Orton's now iconic theme song about hearing voices in his head was reportedly almost changed before his appearance on a recent episode of SmackDown. According to Fightful Select, a number of WWE sources said that a change to Orton's Voices theme song, which he had been using since 2008, was being considered prior to the December 8 episode. Orton and WWE management reportedly talked over a change that was eventually shot down. The change was not the new version of the song recorded by Rev Theory, but, quote, had no music off the top as well as limited lyrics. Fightful was told that WWE deemed it important that Orton had his original theme song for his first few appearances back from injury for the purpose of familiarity, but considered changing it upon his signing with the Blue Brand. Of course, in the end, that didn't happen, but what are your thoughts on a possible theme song change for Randy Orton? Would you have liked to have seen that, or are you happy with what it currently is? Now, AJ Styles is back on SmackDown, and as you can see right there, he's absolutely jacked as well after LA Knight defied Randy Orton's wishes expressed near the beginning of Friday's episode of SmackDown by coming down the ramp to thwart an attack from Solo Sikoa. WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns took matters into his own hands, smashing Knight and hitting the ring to attack Orton. And then AJ Styles' music hit. The Phenomenal One emerged through the WWE Universe dressed all in black and hit the Tribal Chief with a phenomenal forearm, but what looked to be a simple evening up of the numbers game, as well as Styles exacting revenge by association for Solo Sikoa's taking him out the last time we saw him, turned sideways when the leader of the OC turned his attention towards Knight, obliterating him with a clothesline. Styles then exited the ring and walked past the battered Bloodline, all of whom ogled him awkwardly as he went to the back without any further interaction. Orton, as I mentioned, who challenged Reigns earlier on in the night for the Universal title, looked confused, as most onlookers probably felt throughout these events, and once Knight came off the mat, he looked equal parts perplexed and livid while staring down the departing Styles. Though there's no official answer as of yet to Orton's challenge, it seems now reasonable that Orton-Reigns bout will take place at the Royal Rumble, and now possibly Knight and Styles as well. Of course, LA Knight was the person who replaced AJ Styles at Fastlane to team with John Cena, so maybe that is why Styles Styles has a gripe. And let's talk about Charlotte Flair. We've got finally confirmation on her injury status because Charlotte Flair will be out of action for a prolonged period after suffering a likely knee injury during a match on last week's episode of SmackDown against Asuka. It was announced on this week's SmackDown broadcast that Flair will be out of action for up to 9 months. During the match on last week's SmackDown, the 15-time Women's Champion slipped from the top rope and landed awkwardly on her leg and also appeared to hit her head. She was pulled from the road and returned to her home in Florida after the injury. PW Insider reported there was talk at Raw among talent that Flair could have possibly suffered a torn ACL, but that is not confirmed at this time. The recovery timeline WWE announced would fit the injury, however. If Flair is out upwards of 9 months, she will not only miss the Royal Rumble, but WrestleMania and SummerSlam as well, and would be set to return sometime in September 2024. WWE has yet to say exactly, though, what type of injury Flair sustained, or if she has or will undergo surgery as well. So if we get any more details on that, we'll let you know, but we wish Charlotte Flair the best in her recovery. Now, 2 more names have advanced in the US title tournament last night on SmackDown to possibly challenge for Logan Paul's title. The night saw both NXT star and former NXT champion Carmelo Hayes defeat Grayson Waller, as well as Kevin Owens defeat Austin Theory. Owens and Hayes move on to join Santos Escobar and Bobby Lashley, who qualified in the tournament last week. Though not yet officially called up to the main roster, Hayes was chosen by Shawn Michaels to represent NXT in the tournament, despite all he has going on with Trick Williams and current NXT champion Ilya Dragunov on Tuesday's show. Hayes had an impressive showing against Waller and will go on to face Owens for the first time ever next week in the tournament. Owens defeated fellow former US champion Theory, and his broken hand was highlighted throughout the bout. Theory attempted to destroy Owens' cast, but Owens used it to his advantage to get the victory over the younger star. Owens and Hayes met in a backstage segment following their matches, with Owens saying the NXT star reminded him of himself when he first got to WWE. With Owens and Hayes facing off in the tournament next week, Lashley and Escobar will meet in their half of the bracket in the semi-finals as well. All vie for a chance to face Paul, who captured the title from Rey Mysterio at WWE's Crown Jewel Premium Live event in Saudi Arabia back in November. Now let's talk about some Ring of Honor. Athena is still the ROH Women's World Champion. Her reign continues. Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena and Billie Starkz have been feuding for a number of weeks, and their rivalry led them to the main event of Ring of Honor Final Battle last night. Starkz challenged Athena for the gold in a buzzworthy match. Athena came to the ring cosplaying as Bane. Athena was also wearing a protective mask due to her broken nose. The champion was aggressive early on, and she continued the action for the first portion of the bout. She busted Starkz open, but the challenger rallied. Starkz viciously targeted Athena's broken nose and took the fight to the champion. She suplexed Athena off the broadcast table and slammed her again onto the floor. Athena fired back with a super German suplex. Starkz kept battling as she avoided the O-face. In the end, Athena trapped her in a submission hold. With nowhere to go, Starkz was forced to tap out. After the bell, Starkz tried to walk away, but Athena pulled her back. Starkz asked Athena what she wanted. She told Starkz she wanted her to be her minion. Starkz accepted, and they hugged. So, seemingly, their partnership is going to continue as well as Athena's title reign. Now, the Briscoes, obviously one of the most legendary tag team in Ring of Honor history, and last night we saw a match in the tribute to the late Jay Brisco. Mark Briscoe, his brother, and FTR defeated the Blackpool Combat Club in a match to honor Jay Briscoe at Ring of Honor Final Battle. Briscoe and FTR defeated Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Jon Moxley on Friday's show, with Briscoe getting the pinfall on Danielson. Of course, as I mentioned, the event last year was the last match that Jay Briscoe had after tragically passing away earlier on this year. Now we have a brand new Ring of Honor World Television Champion as well. Kyle Fletcher is new ROH TV Champion after winning the Survival of the Fittest elimination match. The final 2 participants were Fletcher and Commander, with Commander getting a near fall after hitting a 450 splash. Fletcher cut off Commander in the corner and hit him with a hammerlock tombstone for the victory, winning the title for the first time. The ROH TV title was vacated by Samoa Joe back on the November 8th edition of AEW Dynamite, with Joe saying he wanted to focus on winning the AEW World Championship. Tony Khan later announced that a Survival of the Fittest 6-man elimination match would be taking place at Final Battle, with qualifying matches taking place on ROH's TV show on Honor Club. Lee Moriarty, Dalton Castle, Lee Johnson, and Commander qualified ahead of Final Battle. Brian Keith became the last participant to qualify at ROH Final Battle 0 Hour, defeating Jack Cartwheel. Fletcher has recently branched out as a singles wrestler after his tag team partner Mark Davis suffered a wrist injury at AEW Wrestle Dream in October. Fletcher has since aligned himself as well with the Don Callis family stable on AEW programming. Now, also, we have the media scrum after every single AEW pay-per-view and Ring of Honor pay-per-view as well. And we've got some quotes and some headlines coming out of it as well. First, coming from FTR and Mark Briscoe. Regarding the tribute match to his brother Jay, Mark Briscoe said that last night was therapy to him, that no shrink in the world could help him in the way that Friday's match helped him. When asked if they would go after the trios titles, FTR said they would let Mark Briscoe branch out as a singles wrestler first before teaming again as a trio. Now, Mark Briscoe was asked about the Dem Boys tweet by the WWE Fox Twitter account. Mark Briscoe explained how he saw the tweet from one of WWE's partner accounts saying that it triggered him. He said he's not on Twitter because it doesn't feel good for him, so he used his wife's phone to look for an FTR tweet and found the tweet in question. He said faith in God is what's getting him through these times and knows Jay is doing good without having to think about bills or Twitter posts. Ethan Page was also at the post-show presser. Page was wearing a forehead bandage from his I Quit match against Tony Nese on the show. When asked about being in ROH instead of AEW, Page said you should elevate the place you are in or else you shouldn't be there. Regarding Scorpio Sky's appearance at the show, Page said they have a real genuine friendship now, despite not knowing each other when they first teamed together, and he's happy they're back together. Page mentioned wrestling one of the best in the world in Kenny Omega this past Saturday. Tony Khan wished Omega the best in his recovery, with Page concurring. The new ROH TV champion Kyle Fletcher also spoke at the post-show media scrum. Khan mentioned that this was Fletcher's first singles championship in his career. Fletcher said wrestling as a singles is a different challenge, as every idea he has in his brain, it's all on him. It scares him. He has no one else to blame if something goes wrong, and that it was very challenging in that aspect. We also heard from Billie Starks. She says that she had turned 18 when she started wrestling for Ring of Honor. Khan said it was at Universal Studios and thought she had something at that time. When asked about what drives her to be a wrestler at 19, Starks said that the love for wrestling is what drives her. She mentioned that she's lost friends and her childhood for it. We also heard from the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena. Athena says she enters the ring like it's her last match because after her Achilles surgery, she thought she may never come back. When asked why she thinks she's trusted to headline Ring of Honor shows, Athena said she didn't know why Khan trusts her, as it's nerve-wracking to follow the kind of matches that went on at Final Battle. She says she will always deliver, however. It's very interesting, Tony Khan said when asked about Athena returning to AEW TV. He put over some of the biggest wrestlers in the world that have wrestled in Ring of Honor, and Athena is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. Now, Tony Khan was also asked about a variety of different topics. When asked about the speculation with Warner Bros. Discovery amid recent reports of WWE and WBD talks, Khan said he's had really good conversations with WBD in recent days. He said it was a great week for AEW ratings-wise, and both Dynamite and Collision have been on a roll in recent weeks. Khan said that AEW stands to be in a position to grow in 2024. Now, what was quite interesting about this was that Tony Khan said to be in AEW was to be constantly attacked. Take a look at this.
But for AEW and I think Ring of Honor, because it falls under my ownership, to be AEW is to be under constant attack. You do a great show and the next day somebody's saying something negative. You do 5 great shows in a row. Somebody says something negative. You break the ticket record for the most tickets ever sold for any wrestling show in the history of the world, and somebody has something bad to say about it. I just, at this point, I don't worry about it. We just need to go out and do great shows week after week like we did. We were the #1 show on cable this week on Wednesday. We beat every single show on TV on Wednesday out of hundreds and hundreds of shows across hundreds of networks. And we continue doing it, and everybody who works here is going to be.
Now, he continued by saying that there is a reason that every single person that has stepped into his position has gone out of business. He's the only one left, and thank fans for that. He said it's worth the fight. He loves the fight, and he's never going to give up that fight. He mentioned people like Jim Crockett and Ted Turner and said he's fighting for them. Regarding Kenny Omega, he said he's glad Omega listened to his doctors and didn't wait any longer. He will leave it to Omega to give updates on his health. He said there are good reasons to be very optimistic. When asked about Final Battle's ticket sales, he said that to sell 2,000 tickets last night is great for our ROH event, and Final Battle was one of the biggest gates in ROH history. He said that Friday's number was consistent with the crowds they've had for other ROH pay-per-views as well. Khan said he was definitely considering adding more ROH events, mentioned that this was the first show exclusive on Honor Club. Quote, huge leap in subscribers on Honor Club this week. He said it may make more sense for ROH shows to be on Honor Club in the future. When asked about the Von Erichs, he said their representative reached out to Sonjay Dutt and liked the idea of using the Von Erichs at the Dallas Metroplex area is their territory and would coincide with the release of the Iron Claw. He said they'll be back tomorrow for Collision. He would love to use them again in the future. Now, finally, we have an update when it comes to a new concept that was debuted last night at the WWE SmackDown tapings, and that is WWE Speed. Now, get a load of this. WWE debuted a new concept at Friday's SmackDown taping, that being WWE Speed. On WWE Speed, matches have 5-minute time limits. The winner of the match receives 1 point, the loser of the bout is docked 1 point, and if the bout goes to a time limit draw, no points are awarded or deducted. A 5-minute countdown clock appears on the video wall during the contest. Now, the Speed concept appears to be a WWE TV show pilot or perhaps for a digital media property, as commentators Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick were calling the matches as if the show was being produced for a broadcast. A WWE Speed logo was displayed on the video wall as well as the ring apron and the ring post during the taping. Now, Axiom from NXT faced SmackDown Cedric Alexander in the concept debut at Friday's taping in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Raw's Bronson Reed versus NXT's Nathan Fraser was the other Speed match taped. If we get any more details on this, we'll let you know. But would you be interested in seeing a WWE Speed TV show? Does that interest you? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.